the Pug segment. Welcome back to the big show, Pugs. However, I'm not too excited about doing this one because last time I talked to you, you were telling me about the horrific abuse that was happening at the hands of the people of Nickelodeon. And this week, when it's come time to do entertainment news, we're talking about the horrific abuse that comes at the hands of one P. Diddy. This is awful. Tell me the latest on the P. Diddy saga. Is he in custody yet? Do they have handcuffs on him or anything?
Well, isn't that the thing? Nobody can say for sure where Sean Puffy, P. Diddy, whatever we're calling him, where he is. Nobody knows where he's laying low. He was last seen by TMZ on Monday pacing out in front of the customs area of the Miami, I don't know what it's called, airport down there. It's got a funny name. And what we now know about that, James, are you familiar with the viral video that I'm talking about?
I am not. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Yeah, it was the last time we saw Puff, and he was walking, pacing back and forth out in front of this office at the airport. You know, he looked like somebody who was waiting for somebody inside to finish what they were doing. What we now know about that is at that time, let me get you guys' name right, Brendan Paul, who is his assistant. Brendan Paul is so far the only person that has been arrested for any of this stuff. Brendan Paul, music producer, was arrested on a drug charge at Miami Airport while attempting to board Combs' private jet. Paul's been accused of being a drug mule for Combs in a federal lawsuit. So that's the only arrest, and now we know that's what was going on, why Puffy was pacing out in front. A guy carrying his... Oh, and by the way, he was arrested in Miami, and then he was released on $2,500 bail. So that tells you he didn't have a brick of cocaine, right? He had a bag of weed and maybe a little vial of blow or something. So that's it. That's the only arrest that we have, and nobody has seen Puffy since then.
Do we think he's left the country?
Well, now, isn't that interesting? Because his plane is in Antigua. It has been in Antigua since Monday evening. It left LAX, I believe, on just after the raids were carried out. But Puffy was in Miami, and the plane did not stop in Miami. So Puffy was in Miami trying to get on a different charter jet, possibly to meet his jet in Antigua. That's where we do not know if he has left the country. Nobody knows where he is. All we know is that his jet, which is called Love Air, how creepy is that?
Gross.
Yeah, his jet has been on a runway in Antigua since Monday, and Puffy has not exited the jet. And there's no way to believe that he's on the jet. Because, again, he was in Miami trying to get on a different jet when his assistant was arrested for drug possession on Monday. Since then, we don't know where he is. However, James, the history of that jet, let's talk about the jet that's sitting on the runway in Antigua.
The Love Jet?
The Love Jet. The history. What was this jet doing in the 24 hours before it just, without anybody, without Puffy in it, made its way from L.A. to Antigua? It made 4 stops between Sunday night and the raids on Monday, and it went up and down the West Coast. They believed that the jet was going to Puffy's sister, Puffy's daughter, who lives outside Sacramento. But, I mean, it looks very sketchy. They got this plane out of the country for some reason, and what was the plane doing? You know me, I'm not Mr. Conspiracy Theory, but, what was it doing? What was on the plane that they had to get out of the country so quick that's now sitting on a runway in Barbados? And when I say so quick, stranding the owner of the plane without a plane in Miami. It's just very weird. This whole story is very weird.
Yeah, well, what about the theory that on the plane is also probably Cassie's medical records that he had control of because he had her medical power of attorney and some other evidence that would be something the feds are looking for? I mean, he could have loaded that plane up with evidence and flown it to Antigua.
That's yeah. Look, you're braver than I am. I didn't go there, but that's exactly what I was alluding to. The Cassie situation makes me laugh too, because this entire thing, and I think the most generous way we could describe it is Puffy's having some really bad times. I mean, it's bad. This all began because of his arrogance. Do you know that Cassie? Cassie, I guess I didn't know who she was before this, but apparently she's famous in her own right. She's a singer.
She had a couple of songs, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was unfamiliar, but she's protege of P Diddy, girlfriend, wife maybe. I don't know if they were married, but they were an item. They were a romantic item. They broke up, And she then went out and tried to look for a new record contract. And she couldn't get one because apparently Diddy was holding her hostage. You say, you record for me or you record for no one, right? Okay, so what did she do to fight back? She went to him and said, release me from my contract or I am going to file in the state of New York that you are this, that, and the other thing. And he said, you'd never do it. And she did it. And the very next day he settled. And now all of this is happening because of that. It's his own arrogance. It's his own unwillingness to take her seriously that screwed him.
Wow. So usually if you see the feds raiding someone's house, they rarely come back and say, oops, I guess we found nothing. I mean, is it safe to assume that at some point Puffy's going to be in cuffs? Well,
I mean, that's the next step. But here's what is safe to assume. We know how the police went in. They went in heavy, as they say in the mob world. They went in, no knock. They went in barging through.
Right, not in suits and ties, but invest in guns.
That's right. When we say the feds, it's very important to note the organizations involved. It was the Department of Justice out of the Southern District of New York, but it was also Homeland Security. And Homeland Security, one of their things is, sex trafficking, international and all that stuff. So that's very interesting. So what can we expect now? I mean, they went in looking for something. And obviously they got the parameters of that raid, the no knock and the guns drawn. They got those parameters from James, 2 separate judges in 2 separate jurisdictions, Los Angeles and Miami, were presented with the evidence that we don't know. We don't know what the evidence is, but these 2 separate judges were presented with it, and they said, yeah, go hard, go heavy, go fast.
Wow. So there's going to be more shoes to drop. We're going to learn more about this, and it's going to be pretty gross, I imagine.
Right. So indictment is next. If whatever they found will bolster their case, then we'll have an indictment, and then he's a celebrity, so he will be given time to turn himself in. And then if not, we got OJ again.
Oh, good Lord. All right. Pugs, when you come back next week, let's try and avoid a story that has to do with abusing children. If we can do that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Make an effort.
This has been your entertainment news with your entertainment reporter for the James Show, Pugs Moran. You can find him on the Radio Misfits, radiomisfits.com, or if you Google Pugs and don't click on the thumbnails of dogs, the bald guy, you can find his stuff on social media. Thank you, Pugs.
Yep.